I honestly believed that I was broken, unfixable, unlovable, and I did not know when it was going to end. Truly, that's how I felt. And that's why I wish someone would have brought this to my attention sooner. Like, childhood sooner would have been better. But hey, we're here now. The healing journey can be, I don't know, I just find it's been such a challenge. But this one really stands out to me, and I just had to share it with you because it's always on my mind. I am Lisa. I'm the founder of She Feels Heard, and I help you heal from people pleasing and thrive in love, life, and within yourself. And by the way, it's so hot here. If you can't tell, my hair up is off my neck. The aircon is broke, which I know is a privilege. So this is me for the next few days. But today we are talking about this one-liner that I came across a few years ago after my ex's affair, and it really hit me. And I guess my intention for sharing this in this video is that you feel comfort in this too, but also understand that you are so lovable and that healing is so possible for you as well. So here's the quote. Healing is not about fixing what is broken. It's about nurturing what has been neglected. And that moment I realized that I had this mindset that I was broken, and I realized that maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe I was just really unnurtured. And I know right now, with the evidence that I have, with all the experience that I have, that I am not the only person and only woman that is not being nurtured. So let me tell you why this was so hard to hear, because it was the truth. I'd neglected myself so much. I had the worst coping mechanisms. My self-worth was terrible. I pushed all my own needs down, and I didn't even know who I was or what I wanted anymore, which was just not ideal. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of inner work that had to be done to heal this part of me. And when I had this aha moment, when I heard this, and I was thinking, okay, I can get out of this rut by actually pouring energy into me, it really was like a life-changing moment. But I'll tell you what, it felt so yuck. It felt so uncomfortable. And I honestly just had no idea where to start. I was like, I don't even know how to pour energy into me. And we'll go into the yucky feelings another time. But for now, today, we are talking about the exact steps that I would take if I was starting from scratch right now, back to that person that I was. And maybe that's where you are right now. And that's why I want to do this video and help you to even just start taking some sort of action to nurture yourself and begin this healing journey. So you no longer feel stuck in that rut or unsure what to do. These are 5 ideas that you can know steps, or you can do them whichever order. I've just put them in my preference, but these can be life-changing for you if you will let them. If you will be brave enough and courageous enough to try to find the time to do these things, this is where to begin. So it definitely wasn't bubble baths, and it wasn't spa days, although those are very nice, and I definitely will be treating myself to one this week. However, I think there's a lot of juju out there about, just have a bath once a week. That's not, it's very nice and it should be, but it's still not meeting your needs. We're talking about the deeper stuff internally. So the first one is, I want you to create more time for you. You're going to learn to say no without guilt. That's how you're going to do that, right? To create more time in your week, you have to stop pleasing everybody. And there's my baby. Okay, I'm back. You'll notice that I don't edit all of this out because I decided a long time ago that I just wanted to be me on these videos. I just wanted to share what I've got, how it is, real and raw. And the reality is that I am a working mum who, has kids at home. The only time I don't is with my one-on-one sessions where I do have to be fully engaged. So they're always taken care of. But everything else, I just have to work around this mum life that I absolutely adore. But I also adore servicing you guys. If you do want to jump in for a one-on-one call, I'll drop the link in below. It is at no cost to you, so take advantage as you please. Says the old people pleaser. I'm joking, by the way. So we were on Create More Time for You. So really working on saying no without guilt. The reason why we want to say no is because it does free up the time in your day to actually think about the steps that I'm going to give you next. And so that's why I put it at number one, because if you don't really have the time for it, you're just going to burn yourself out doing more. Oh, well, I'll just add in this to my routine and this to my day and this and this. And yeah, that's all great, but you're already burnt out. So you're just going to burn yourself out more. And the stuff that you do for yourself, it becomes another chore, another thing to do, another task on your to-do list. And I can guarantee you again, it will just be the first thing that goes when things become overwhelming, right? So learning to say no without guilt is even a bonus. But first of all, just start learning to say no to others' demands and requests and unreasonable things that they want you to do, and start saying yes to yourself and creating that time for yourself. You don't even have to do anything at the start, but just try to create it. Try to learn that skill. I do have a full course on how to say no. I've got a full formula and strategy that just makes it super easy, including my secret sauce, which I just literally love. I love sharing this with people as well. So I will drop that link for you down below as well in the description. But that is the first step. Like if you want to do it yourself, that's great. But this is the first step that you need to do to create more time within your day, right? For you, to nurture you. Number 2 is create more energy for you. So they are different. In that time that you created, that's when you can start doing the self-care practices and prioritizing your needs. And like I said, it's not bubble baths and it's not, painting your toes and things like that. They are really great and I would definitely recommend doing them. But I would look a little bit deeper than that and really have a look at your basic needs that need to be met. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating okay? Are you processing your emotions properly? Are you creating that kind of time out in nature that you need? I know that people don't want to do them, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, they're life-changing. They are what re-energize us. When our needs are met, our body is in homeostasis, it's loving you, and therefore you've got more capacity to go out and love life and love others. And it's just so powerful. And I think as pleasers, we don't prioritize our needs. Everyone else comes before us. And like I said, if you don't have the time for that and you try and put that in, it just creates more overwhelm. But now you've got more time, you're going to focus on creating more energy. You're going to build back up that energy pack and really have a look at each day how you're taking care of yourself, just like you would a child, right? Rather than thinking like, I've got to take care of this adult self. Like think about when you're thinking about needs. That's why like a child doesn't need a bubble bath. A child doesn't need, what does your inner child need? What does that space of you need in terms of actually providing yourself with the basic things and rest, like so much on rest. I want you to focus on doing less, right? Sitting out in nature, reading a really quiet book. That is where you start to rebuild the energy. And sometimes this part can probably take the longest. I think I would have taken a while to do this part. So don't be put off if your energy levels don't go like this straight away. Okay. This one is something that you need to practice consistently for a good fair amount of time. The third one is I would create more inner peace for myself. This isn't something that I worked on third, but I put it in number 3 because if I could have known how powerful it was, I probably would have started it sooner. And I didn't realize the impact that it was actually having on my life. I didn't realize how much it controlled how I thought about myself, my self-esteem, my self-worth, like everything. I just really didn't realize. And that's why I put it in at number 3, because if you can work on it before I realized, like the more power for you. So it's creating more inner peace. So not caring what other people think of you. Really, really hard for a pleaser, because we literally really do care what people think about us. And so working on trying to find strategies, regulating strategies, mindset strategies, calming the body strategy, all the things, like a lot to do with self-regulation, on not caring what others think, is so powerful, because it's just going to take away your energy from all the overthinking. You know, like when you go to a party, right? And you're like, I said that thing. Oh my God, they probably hate me. They probably think that I'm this and I'm doing this. And you kind of go into this spiel, and all of your energy has been sucked out of yourself into this overthinking situation. And it really, you can't control what people think of you. And I've really come to realize that, like, they're going to think about you what they think about you. And if that's not correct or not in line, that's their kind of business. And if they've got a problem, it's them to come forward. And that was like super easy concept to like wrap my head around at the start, like logically, but to actually feel into it and do the inner work, healing that's where it was hard. It was so triggering. It was so uncomfortable. I really didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't know how to feel it. I isolated myself for a really long time, avoided social situations because of that. And people have healing powers, so staying away from them is great, but also sometimes we need people. And so I would say creating more of an inner peace of not caring what people think is just such a powerful step. And I would go back and tell myself to actually work on that before some of the other ones that I did. Number 4 is create healthier relationships. So practice speaking up for yourself and navigating conflict. I find a lot of the people I work with, like, they are in these relationships that they're not speaking up in. They're feeling a lot of resentment, a lot of frustration, and they're not able to recognize that their just needs are not being met. And they feel so guilty for bringing them up and too needy, too much. And I know I was super guilty of that as well. Like, I did that all the time, and then was really frustrated that I wasn't, taking care of myself, right? And navigating conflict, like, rather than shutting down or sacrificing or pleasing, I had to work on how I was going to come up with healthier coping mechanisms, healthier communication mechanisms, how I was going to navigate conflict. All of those things are really important, because our relationships literally make our world go round. And I had so many unhealthy relationships, not just because they were unhealthy, because I didn't have the boundaries that I needed. I didn't have the tools and the skills that I needed to navigate healthier relationships. And now I've got these amazing relationships in my life. Some of them have stayed and have got much healthier boundaries around them, and they feel really great. Others I haven't kept, and that's been, again, going back to inner peace, had to find that, not caring what people think. But it's been really, really healing to have healthier relationships. You wouldn't believe the impact that having a great relationship with someone, or having boundaries around people that you do have to have in your life but aren't so healthy, it's really, really, really impactful on your healing journey and nurturing yourself, because really nurturing ourselves through our relationships is a big part of our life. And number 5 is create more self-love for yourself. So nurturing yourself in terms of your inner critic, soothing that inner critic, thanking that inner critic, and creating some self-compassion around yourself. Something I noticed about myself when I started this nurturing was that I wasn't being very nurturing with my words in my mind. I was actually really cruel to myself. I was really actually quite nasty. And if I'd said that to my friend out loud, she probably wouldn't be my friend anymore. And I was thinking, wow, actually, I've got no self-compassion. I've got all this self-compassion for everyone else. All this understanding, all this patience, and all this, it's okay, everything, people make mistakes, but I could not give any of that to myself. It was so, my expectations of myself were just through the roof and really, really unrealistic. And anything I did, I'd pull that apart rather than celebrating the things I did really great today. And I'll give you an example from a client of mine. she was saying to me she didn't want to do the call because she hadn't done the homework and she hadn't done what she said she was going to do. And I was like, that's okay, let's jump on the call, let's explore that. And we explored what that looked like. And I said, okay, great. And she told me about, all the things she hadn't done. And I was like, but did you see all the things that you did do? And she was like, well, no. And I was like, well, aren't you a busy mum and you still managed to regulate yourself in that situation? And you actually spoke up for your needs for the first time, even though the outcome didn't go exactly how you thought it might? Oh, yeah. Have you ever done that before? No, I haven't. And it was just finding this, oh my gosh, I know I didn't do everything perfectly, but I actually made some progress, and really pulling that out and being like, thank you, inner critic, for pulling out all the things where I didn't do. But let's also celebrate and have some compassion about, one, how hard this is, and two, celebrate the wins that you actually did do, because I can guarantee you there's probably something you did different and something that you did. Then we build on that. We build on that and build momentum from that. And that, I think, is just something so powerful. And now every time I mean to myself in my head, I'm like, thank you for your opinion. I never ever brush it away or tell it's wrong. I mean, thank you so much for your opinion. And I try and validate that, and I reassure that I've got this under control. Thank you so much. So tell me your experience with this below in the comments. Tell me if you've had any experience with this in the comments below. I really do want to hear. It can be really powerful steps. And I really want you to not just watch this video. I want you to try and go away and implement at least one of them. At least one of them. And again, if you need support, reach out. Let me know, okay? But next week, we're going to be talking about the 30-day experiment that I did with my kids to stop my frustration and shouting at them. I don't know, towards the end of Christmas time, I was just getting very overwhelmed, very overloaded, and there was a lot of things coming at me, and I just started to get really snappy, really frustrated. And so I put this 2 little strategies in place, and I did a 30-day challenge. If I just do these 2 things for 30 days, what's going to happen? And make sure you subscribe to get notified, because it really shocked me how much power we have to change our situations. I couldn't even believe it happened that fast, and it was just amazing, the results. So I can't wait to share those with you, and I will see you next week.